What's up, Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Krupanut. And on today's episode, I want to chat with you guys about customer service, customer communication, creating a good experience for your customer, because that's what I like to do. So if you're interested in hearing all about that, stay tuned. But before we hop into that, I want to show you guys something. Check out the new nails for those of you that are on YouTube. Aren't they cute? I told myself yesterday, I said, Erica, you have to get your nails done before Saturday because you have a big event that you're going to, and you're going to end up biting your nails off if you don't take care of it now. So, you guys, if there's something that you need to do, this is your reminder to go ahead and do that. I know we all have that thing that we're like, oh, we really need to do it. But I know that if I don't get my nails done and I let them go too long, then I'm going to start like biting them off or picking them off. And then I got the little nubs. So, that's not good. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But I did want you to know that even though you're a pooper scooper, you can still have cute nails if that's something that you're interested in. And if you're not, okay, whatever. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about customer service, okay? The definition on Google, the support you give your customer. Straight to the point. Perfect. But I added a little spice to it because I believe that the customer service starts before you even talk to the customer. So it's the support that you give to your customer. It starts beforehand with your social media because in 2024, a lot of times we're communicating with our customers before we even verbally communicate with them. They're seeing our social media posts, they're seeing our branding, they're seeing things that we're putting out there, they're seeing reviews that other people are writing for us, good or bad. I hate it when the bad ones come through. And a little bit later, we're actually going to talk about some negative stuff that we had in our business because I want to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with you guys because business isn't always cool. It's not always good, but it's doing business. So we have to be able to handle the issues and we got to be able to handle them with grace. Now, not everybody is going to not everybody, not every situation is going to be ideal, but I like to just take them as learning experiences and just grow a little bit as time goes on. And so I got a couple questions for you that I want you to think about because this is stuff when I'm thinking about creating the experience, which I think you need to think about the experience that you want to have for your customer before you can really develop the plan for the customer service, at least in my mind. I want you to think about, are you making it clear who you are, what you do, and how to get in touch with you? And why I think this is important is because if you make it difficult for people to understand like what you do, what your company name is, and how to get in touch with you, you're already creating an experience that it's difficult. It's difficult to get in touch with you. What if they have an issue? How are they going to get in touch with you? Are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to answer text messages? So you're doing something. You're already making an impact, an impression in their brain just by those three things. And then like I said before, your social media. A lot of times that people are meeting you on social media because that's where people are hanging out. So what does your social media look like? Are you putting any content out? And if you are, what kind of content are you putting out there? Are you putting educational content? Are you putting out funny content? Are you putting out political content? Like what is it that you're putting on your page? Is it content that is relevant to like what you do in somehow some way? Because I think you can have a diversity, right? I think it's important to have a diversity of content, but it needs to be like focused on I guess a niche, per se. Like an example, I shared a local business, a food place on the Croupen's Poop and Scoopin' page, and it was an image of gosh, what was it? A flashbang. And it was like an avocado roll. To the eye, it doesn't look very appetizing, but I'm telling you, these things are so delicious. They're one of my favorite like meals to eat. They're so good. So I shared it on the Croupen's Poop and Scoopin' page, and I had a lot of people that were like, I was quite confused to see this on a poop scooping page, on a dog waste removal page. In my mind, I was just trying to be like supportive. I'm trying to share local businesses and trying to get involved in the community, but it really threw people off and they're like, oh. So I learned now don't really share food. Don't really share food on the business page unless it's dog food related, dog treats, a dog friendly restaurant, something like that that has a dog in it. The food per se, people really don't want to think about like food and poop at the same time. So that's kind of like a little thing that I learned along the way. And so I stopped doing that. We stopped doing that on the business page. I want you to think about that. And then, does your branding entice your customers to spend their hard earned money with you? You have to think about it. You have to think about, what does your branding say? What does your marketing material say? What does your vehicle signage say? Like, what kind of customer are you trying to attract? Because let's be frank, let's be honest. The people a lot of times that are spending less amount of money with you can they can't get as much of attention because, like, on a greater scale, you can't afford it. You can't afford to spend that time because in business, time is money. Okay. And so this is kind of where the example came from, which put it in a perspective. Andy Frisella, I don't know if any of you guys listened to his podcast, but he was specifically talking about a Rolls Royce that he purchased. He loves Rolls Royce. But here's where the issue is. He received a thank you letter from Rolls Royce. It was just a generic printed, like off a printer, thank you letter. And you would expect from a company that is selling such a high end product with I don't know how much a Rolls Royce costs. I can't even pronounce it properly. I sure in the hell can't afford it. You would think that you would get a handwritten letter. Well, at least that's what Andy would have thought. That he would have gotten a handwritten thank you letter. He much rather would have gotten nothing from them versus getting that piece of crap generic printed thank you letter. And then moving on to the topic of customer experience, which I put equals customer service. And here's why. For me, I did an exercise, which I don't know where I heard this from. I don't know if I came up with it. I'm not really too sure, but I knew that I wanted to create a good experience. I was like, okay, what does that look like? So let's go through this exercise. This is essentially what I did. So if you're listening to this, grab a pen, grab a paper, and jot down a few words. When you close your eyes and role play, like having an interaction with your customer, how do you want them to feel? What's some words that pop up in your head? How would you want to feel when you're interacting with a home service provider? And if you have not been through that yet, you haven't had stuff done in your home, you haven't had people come service your property, none of that, this might be a little bit difficult for you. But as a homeowner, or even somebody that lived in an apartment complex, I remember I had maintenance men that were just so disrespectful to the property. And I understand I lived in an apartment complex, but I had this one maintenance guy because we had a centipede issue, and he just like banged on the door. And before I could even realize like what was going on, because I had worked midnights, he was already opening up the door and like coming into the apartment. And at this time, I was alone, I was by myself, and I sleep in my birthday suit. I was scared. I was very scared. That did not create a good experience. I did not feel comfortable. I don't even know if that's legal for them too, but I feel like the office said it is because it was a scheduled appointment and I didn't answer the door. But I had worked midnights and it was like 11 o'clock and I was just falling into like that deep sleep. So I was all like disoriented. Like I didn't know what was going on. But anyways, back to the topic on hand. Back to the exercise, you guys. But seriously, if you're watching this over on YouTube, is that legal? Are they allowed to just come in there like that? I mean, they did. It doesn't matter now, but anyways. So a few words that I wrote down was respect or respected, understood, confident, and excited. Now let's expand on that a little bit more. With the word respected, everybody wants to feel respected. Women especially want their home to be respected because that's their home. That's their space, you know? That's where they make food for their family. That's where they make memories. That's where they raise their babies. Okay? This is their it's their place. And when you're coming to that home, you have to make sure you're respecting it and you're respecting her and you're respecting the children and you're just respecting everything in general. So what does that look like? If you're going into the home, you're going to wear shoe covers. If you're leaving the house, you're going to take those shoe covers off and then you're going to put them back on when you enter their home. I know this doesn't really relate to the pooper scoopers because we don't go inside the house, but I know other people other than pooper scoopers listen to this. But that's a big deal. Okay? If you smoke cigarettes, you're not throwing your cigarette butts on their grass or in their driveway. That's a big deal. When you're walking and talking with the homeowner, especially if it's a female. I had this happen to me, and you might be like, oh, Erica, why are you so anal? Because I am. Because I am. But I had a contractor just go, I'm not going to do it. Like, pull up his snot through his nose, into his brain, through the front of it, through the back of it, and then all the way out through his mouth and spit it on the ground, not but a foot away from my feet. I was disgusted. Blech. I'm going to tell you, that did not create the best customer experience for me because I think about it to this day. And it's one of the things that I put inside of my stuff. Don't do that kind of stuff if you can prevent it. Okay? Try to do it somewhere else. Another thing, like when you're at the house servicing the property, having conversations on the phone that you shouldn't be having. I really do try to prevent being on my phone in the backyard when I'm talking or when I'm scooping a yard, but it's hard as the owner, right? I get a lot of phone calls, there's a lot going on. So there's times where I need to be on the phone. I would not be having a juicy heated conversation in somebody's backyard. People have cameras, people have windows open, there's neighbors. I wouldn't do that because that is not respectful. When you address them by their name. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Stuff like that. Know who you're talking to. You have to like learn your person. You wouldn't, walk up to an elderly person and try to like dab them up, like, "What up, dog? How's it going?" Stuff like that. Like you would with your homies, right? You wouldn't do anything. You'd do a nice firm handshake if you meet the customer, look them in the eye. Even though eye contact can be kind of difficult, you have to practice that. You have to work on that. Make eye contact, but not like awkward. You don't want to be too awkward with the eye contact, but you definitely want to be able to make eye contact because with like a man to man type deal, I've heard this from men all across the board. If a man cannot look another man in the eye when having a conversation, a lot of men don't find that trustworthy. And nobody wants a sketchy contractor at their house. So think about that with respect. What does that look like to you? And then understood. The homeowner, the customer wants to feel understood that you know what they are looking for. Insert service, okay? Because you asked the questions, you've relayed the information back to them. So, for instance, with us, the customer wants to have a clean backyard. They want to make sure that we are doing a good job. They want to make sure that we're putting the dog poop in the correct trash can, that we're securing the gate when we leave the property, that we're going to send them a text message when we're on the way because they do have an aggressive dog. Stuff like that. Like this is the kind of these are the kind of scenarios and the kind of situations that come with the dog waste removal. And that we're going to show up. They feel understood. Like we understand the assignment. And then if there's any issues, we will handle it. We're going to take care of it. So that's where confidence comes into play. They're confident that we're going to do a good job. They're confident that if something happens, we're going to fix it right away because we're showing them, we're telling them what we're going to do because I'm very upfront. I let them know. And then when the situation arises, we fix it immediately. Well, as best as we can. I mean, we're not 100%. We definitely have our areas of improvement, I will say, but the mass majority of our customers are happy because we've instilled confidence in them. They know that if it rains and we get rained out, we're going to communicate with them. We're going to let them know what's going on. We're going to let them know if the service has been skipped. or if it's going to be rescheduled. They're confident that we're closing and securing the gate because we told them we're going to. And then we're also sending them pictures of their closed and secured gate. We tell them we're going to show up on said day. We show up on said day unless we're unable to. Okay. And then they're excited. They're excited about our company. They're excited to tell their friends. They're excited to talk about it on social media because we want our customers to be turned into like raving fans. We want them to be able to advocate for us. If somebody tries to bash us in the comments on YouTube, on not on YouTube. I do have raving fans over here on YouTube because when people jump my shit in the comments, you guys, you hop in there and defend me and have my back. So yes, on YouTube this happens. Thank you. Thank you very much. Switching over to social media like Facebook. We all know the pain of posting our pooper scooper stuff on a buy sell trade group, and people are like, I can't believe people are so lazy. I can't believe people don't pick up the dog poop. I can't believe people have dogs and they don't scoop their own dog poop. Blah 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 blah. Shut up. Get out my face. Get out my online face with all that. Okay. Now that you know how you want them to feel, workshop that. Okay. Take a little bit of time. And then that way, you're going to start developing rules, procedures, things that you do to make that happen. So I'm going to give you an example because I think it's really important to give an example. Here's a complaint that happened yesterday. Literally just happened. Oh, but I did want to note that the majority, at least for me, the majority of complaints come through via email instead of the phone. And here's why. This is what I think. I think a lot of people are fearful of conflict because in their mind, complaining or expressing that they are unhappy is conflict, but it's just having a difficult conversation. It isn't conflict, but they're not able to handle the emotions. They don't want to handle the emotions. I'm not really too sure, but the majority of stuff comes through via email. So we're going to talk about how to handle it via email, okay? But I will say it's very, very important for you to learn how to have the difficult conversations on via email and over the phone and in person. You need to learn how to do this stuff because not everybody is going to send you an email. Not everybody's going to send you a text message. Somebody's going to call you and light your butt up. And you need to learn how to diffuse the situation and turn it around, okay? Turn around to the complaint that happened. This is an email that literally came through. Hello. Today we checked the yard after our scoop from blank. Before letting the dogs out, we found 5 missed piles 2 days after the last scoop. I found a few that were white and crusty and looked like they were from before that scoop, but I didn't reach out because I couldn't confirm. If this service was half the price, I wouldn't really care. But if I'm paying $44 a visit and approximately 10% of the waste is missed, I don't feel I'm getting what I paid for. How do you remedy this situation? Okay. And this goes back to what I was talking about with the Andy Frisella thing. When you are paying more or you're, dealing with a more higher end customer, to her, $44 is a lot of money. $44. So this to her is a luxury. This is a luxury price for her. So I already know in my brain, okay, how I need to handle this situation. All right? So I responded back. This is like what I like to lead with. I say, "Good morning, blank. Always address them by their name. Always address them by their name. Thank you for letting me know. I like to thank them right away. I do have a remedy for this. With you bringing this to my attention, I'm able to have a conversation with blank about the issue. Is there a specific area that is being missed or peppered throughout the yard? Question mark. I sent that over. She has yet to respond because, like I said, this just happened. So I'm still waiting on it. But no matter how she responds, she'll probably end up just saying, like, peppered all throughout. That's it. Then I'm going to respond this way. I appreciate you getting back to me. I have added this information to your customer profile and have spoken with blank about the missed piles. I appreciate you allowing us to make the necessary adjustments to serve you better moving forward. Please let me know if you have any questions moving forward. Best." Erica. I always end it with best Erica or kind regards, Erica. All right. I like to thank them for reaching out because that's a big step. Some people are silent sufferers. They truly are. They're silent sufferers and they don't want to say anything and they would just quietly quit. So it's a big deal. I also let her know that now that she has brought this to my attention, we're going to work on a remedy to fix the situation. So she knows that we care about this and we're going to make it happen. Now, we have to actually care. We have to care about it. All right. So with that message, they're going to be like, okay, the company responded quickly. They thanked me. They're taking ownership for what happened and they're coming up with a plan to rectify the situation and to make my customer experience, my luxury customer experience even better. Now, this is the type of response that can be done via email. Sometimes, no, no, no. You can't respond back to email. Sometimes you need to have a phone conversation with people. And we'll talk about that here in a minute of when a phone conversation is an essential. This is just an email. It's okay. What I could do is I could probably give her a call. If she doesn't respond to the email that I sent her, I'm going to give her a call. I'm going to touch base with her because I want to make that point of contact with her. Okay, so you could do that. That's important. Okay, so, anyways, I sent my response. It's extremely straight to the point, and then she will respond back to you, and then you have the conversation, or I had the conversation with my technician. I copy the entire complaint. There's no secrets. Here you go. This is what the customer said. Okay, what are we gonna do to fix it? Were you moving too quick? Were your passes not tight enough? Did you not scan a second time? Did you zone out in the yard? We need to figure it out because we can't have this happen again. So I put the complaint in the notes in Jabber. And for those of you that use Jabber, you're able to copy and paste and put notes right in the customer's profile, which is perfect. That way, every single time we go to that yard, it's a reminder that this person at one point was unhappy with our service. This is another reminder to refocus, recalibrate. Because when you're doing 25, 30 houses a day, you can zone out. We're human. But this is a good way to recheck our brains and be like, oh, they've complained before. We don't want to lose this customer. Pull it together. We all need reminders. We all need checks. So I have the conversation with the technician. And then next week, 2 weeks later, 'cause it's every other week customer, 2 weeks later, after that service has been provided, what are our options? We definitely want to check in with the customer to make sure that they're satisfied with that service. And if you're like, I don't know if I can remember how to do that, you're going to put a task in Jabber or your CRM that you're using. You put a task under their profile on your schedule that reminds you to reach out to that customer that day or the day after and say, hi, Mrs. Blank, Mr. Blank, check in with you to make sure you are happy with the service that was provided by blank. Insert technician's name. Because when you insert the technician's name or your name or whatever, it creates the accountability on that technician's name because you're making sure that they did it properly. If you were to say, I just wanted to check in to make sure like our team did a good job this week, our team, okay, that means the team in general is taking the 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 blunt of it or whatever, taking it on is like their issue, which essentially we are taking it on as our issue. But when you put the person that was scooping the yard, put their name in it, they're having to take ownership for that. And if you have a quality person on your team, they're going to want to do quality work. They're not going to want to be the weakest link. They're not going to be the one that causes the company to get a 1-star review or to lose a customer. Like it's going to rock their world. They're going to be thinking about it. Every time they go to that yard, it's going to be right in their head. And those are the type of people that you want on your team. That when something happens, they take accountability for it and they make the adjustments. Because we're human. We all make issues. We all make mistakes. But what I like on my team is when an issue happens and it's brought to their attention, they're trying to figure out how to rectify it and it burns them up inside. It's not just like, whatever, I don't care. I'm just here to get a paycheck. Because those people, they don't last with me. You got to go. You have to care. You have to be invested into this company because we're a small company and I don't have room for people that don't care. And as you guys know, did I tell you guys that I had to let my one scooper go last Monday because the quality just wasn't there. Yeah, the changes weren't made. The acceptance was there verbally, but the change wasn't made. And some people just don't have the eye for it. So that's where I got to come into play, and I have to make the decision of who stays and who doesn't. All right, I just got off on a tangent. But does that make sense to you? Like, does it make sense? Please tell me it makes sense. And that's the type of situation that can be handled via email. Now, there are certain situations, like I said, that need to be handled via phone call. Crystal got bit last week. It broke skin. I had to send her to the urgent care because she needed to get cleaned out and she needed to get put on antibiotics, all of that fun stuff, which means I needed to open up a workman's comp case. Yeah, I had to do that. And I called and I spoke to the dog owner on the phone. That needed to be a phone conversation, so I did that. And I'm not going to go into full details about it, but Crystal's okay. There was two puncture marks on both legs. This dog is a very, very, very aggressive. The dog's just not wired right. It hasn't been wired right, and there's been other issues. And the homeowner has decided that the dog can no longer be on the property. It can no longer be at the home. The dog is getting euthanized actually today. As I don't know if it's as we speak, but the dog is getting euthanized today. Not because of us, not because we're pressing charges, none of that stuff. It's because as a family they made a decision that they can't harbor a dangerous animal, and this dog hasn't been wired right since day one. They've went through the avenues of training, obedience training, a lot. And I know this because I called and had a conversation with her to let her know that I could not send Crystal to her property this week with the dog being there. I knew that the dog was being euthanized. So instead of sending an email right away, I called her. I asked her how she was doing, first of all, checked in on her and let her know what to expect with us and with the workman's comp process, and thanked her for sending over the documentations right away. But I did let her know that Crystal could not return back to her house while the dog was still on the property. Instead of saying, "Oh, I can't send Crystal back to your house until you put your dog down. So just let me know when that has happened and I'll send Crystal back over." Mm-mm. No, absolutely not. We talked about the euthanization when it was happening, and I stated, "Okay, thank you for letting me know. Crystal will not be here to service your property this week. But next week, after the dog is no longer on the property, I will be able to send Crystal back to the house." And she said, okay, she agrees, she understands. That was the type of conversation that needed to happen verbally. That's just not something that can be sent via email, I don't think, if you don't want to sound cold and cold hearted. And that's just not the vibe I'm going for. That's not the type of customer experience that I want for my customer to have. So we had the conversation, and then I followed up our conversation with an email about what we went over. So there's the paper trail. The paper trail's still there because it is important for you to create the paper trail and to remind yourself of what was said and what needs to happen. So we have the conversation. Right after that, I sent a follow up email thanking her for having the conversation with me, and then just briefly going over the key points of what happened in the conversation, creating the paper trail. So even though this is an incredibly difficult time, she does have another dog, and she's going to continue with our service because the other dog isn't aggressive. She likes how we're handling the situation. And even though she's got a very difficult thing that she's got to handle, we're able to handle what we need on our end because, I got the insurance, I'm taking care of business, Crystal's okay. And then she can handle, or the customer can handle the situation on their end. There's no one answer to how you're supposed to handle situations. They can be handled many ways. But I think as a leader and as an owner and as somebody that's trying to set the tone of the business, you need to figure out how you want your customers communicated to. And I think that's really um, it really goes back to creating the customer experience and figuring it out, like I said, with the respect, understood, confident, and excited about our business. So I'm curious, if you're watching over on YouTube, in the comments, like, what are your words? What are the words that kind of like when you close your eyes, they pop out at you? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Jabber, we're gonna switch over to Jabber really quick. Jabber helps me do a lot of this stuff with the follow-ups because I can't remember. I can't remember a lot of stuff all the time. So I have to put tasks on my schedule to remind me to do the things that I need to do because a lot of times I can't stop right in the moment and do it because I'm driving or there's something else going on. But I'm able to stop really quick, create. Ow! I just punched my desk because I Jabber's just so darn important. So if you guys aren't using a CRM yet, go ahead and click my link down in the description. I can't wait to get these braces off. So if you're not using a CRM yet, go ahead and click my link down in the description to give Jabber a 14-day free trial. And if you are using Jabber and you have not utilized the tasks feature, you need to. You have to check it out. I'm going to see if Mr. Producer can input a little screen thing of the tasks so I can just show you how it's done. It's like post-it notes. It's like post-it notes that you can't lose and you have to check them off of your calendar. And if you're not able to get them done that day, you can drag and drop. You can change the date and move it over to the next day. You can assign it to yourself or anybody that's on your team. You can change the color of it so it shows different colors on your actual schedule. Like tasks for me are in pale blue. I don't know why. That's just the color I chose. That was the only color that was left over after all the other crap that I have colors for. Which, Jabber, if you're listening to this, we need more colors. I'm going to need some more colors. So let's work on that. Let's get some more colors. Thank you. That would be great. So, all right, you guys, I hope the examples were helpful. I really found like it was important to put some real life examples in there because this is real life, you guys. I'm real life running a business. I'm real life trying to figure this stuff out. I'm real life trying to record a podcast and have a social media company while trying to run and grow a pooper scooper business. So it's all right here. I'm right here with you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, bye.